Now we look like bobbleheads until it calms down.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Brave and Faithful podcast. Today, I have none other than Navy veteran, co-owner and founders of Navy Paddles, Kyle and Melinda Nyseth. How you all doing this morning?
Welcome. Thank you.
Yes, great.
Well, I appreciate you all for taking the time. We were talking off air and you guys mentioned today is your anniversary. So thank you for spending the time with me on your anniversary.
No problem. We're happy to do it.
Awesome. So, before we get started talking about Navy Paddles and what you guys are doing now in your second service, can you tell us a little bit about, your time in the Navy? You mentioned you spent about 22 years in the service.
Absolutely. So it seems like yesterday, but I went into the military on February 12th, 1990. So back then they didn't have cell phones. So we'll just start off there. Went into the Navy and started out on submarines. I was a submarine machinist mate.
Okay.
Did 10 years on 3 different submarines: the USS Parche, the USS Norfolk, and the City of Corpus Christi. The USS Parche was a special project submarine, so we got to do a lot of amazing, fun, different, crazy things on that submarine. Then got my commission as an engineering LDO. And from there, went to the USS Duluth as the damage control assistant and repair officer. 9/11 happens that crazy day. And we were in the shipyard, but with us being in the shipyard, that put us ready to go to take the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit from Camp Pendleton over to Iraq for the second push in the Iraq War. After the USS Duluth, I was the chief engineer at Special Boat Team 12, another amazing command. We had the 85-foot Mark V patrol boats and the 33-foot ribs. And they had the capability, we could push them out, we could push the 11-meter ribs out of a C-130 or a C-17, and they would parachute open and go land in the water, and the operators would jump in after and then go do their missions. So amazing capability, real fun to work with. So spend time out in Guam, Thailand, Philippines, Australia. From there, went to commission Riverine Squadron 3 in Yorktown, Virginia. Yeah. Was a maintenance officer there. And we took blue water sailors and turned them into Marines. We went to the Marine School of Infantry and then did boots on the ground in Iraq, from the Syrian border all the way down to Baghdad on the Euphrates River. So again, amazing career as far as fun stuff to do. A lot of people join the military and they get kind of stuck in a rut where they go from ship to shore to ship to shore, or from one duty station to the next, and they really don't get to do tip of the spear type stuff. Whereas my career, I was so lucky to be able to just enjoy every command because we were doing what we were supposed to be doing.
So very diverse career in the 22 years of service. And if you don't mind me asking, how did you two meet?
We met because he went to the Philippines, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I was in a business lounge in Heritage Hotel
in
the Philippines, and this Filipino was playing Scrabble. Obviously not me, not Melinda. and
he's like, she speaks English, I'm gonna go talk to her.
Yeah. And so we happened to talk and played Scrabble, and she was from San Diego, I was from San Diego.
You were stationed there at the time.
Stationed.
On deployment to the Philippines.
And she helped me out with my real estate And she said, when you come back, I'll introduce you to some people.
Get you reconnected to the community because he was deploying a lot. Didn't really know anybody in San Diego, even though that's where he was officially stationed at. And I'm from San Diego, and I'm also was in real estate. So I worked with the woman that he met, and she came back from the Philippines and said, Melinda, I met this guy in the Philippines. I don't know if you'd like him. He's in the military. I said, well, not really. They move around too much. I'm not really interested in military guys. She said, but he's big, and you said you like him big. So, when he came back, I don't know, did you contact her or something? Anyway, she said, I'm having some friends over. Do you want to come over to my house and, get to know some people? We'll just have a barbecue or something. And he was there. So
that's awesome.
It's all because of her.
Yeah.
well,
also, I do have to say, isn't that when you took the deployment for Mark because he was having his other baby, his fifth baby? So I would have never met him if he didn't have a good heart and volunteered for an extra deployment for his friend, because his friend's wife was about to have one of their fifth children and he wanted to be there for it. So Kyle said, I'll take the deployment for you. And here we are.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. And how long have you two been together?
14 years.
14 years. That's
14
awesome.
today.
I only ask because that's I met my wife while I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, and that's where she's originally from. And we've been together 4 years now, married. So
congratulations.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great to hear. Like fate kind of just kind of has its own.
Yes.
But going into what you guys are doing now, how did this all come about? Did you just start doing this from previous commands and just kind of carry this after leaving the Navy, or?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much
Well,
it.
you can show the paddle right here behind me on the wall is the first paddle he ever received from Special Boat Team 12.
Okay.
When he left there to go to Yorktown, Virginia.
Yeah. And then the next paddle you see over,
Yeah,
that was the first paddles that we made
for Riverine Squadron 3.
Yes. And so that's where I started. I didn't make paddles. I was given a paddle, and then with commissioning the command
in Riverine Squadron 3.
Yep.
They were going to work with a lot of joint forces in Iraq, and they have to usually give a gift to other commands as they work with them, some kind of honoring gift. And Kyle says, well, what about a paddle? I just got a paddle for my last command. And he couldn't find anybody that made paddles. So what'd you do?
So I sent a grocery sack, because again, my parents didn't have a computer at that time.
A cutout of a brown paper bag.
Yep.
Of a paddle.
And that was that paddle that you see there on the wall. And
his dad is an excellent woodworker. Built their whole house, built all the cabinets, just a beautifully skilled with wood. So I said, Dad, can you make me some paddles? I'll send you an outline shape. And his dad said, okay. So he mailed him 10 paddles to Virginia, from Wisconsin to Virginia. And then what'd you do? You had to figure out how to wrap the handles.
Yeah, I took the paddle that I received, I took it apart.
Okay.
Unwrapped it.
To figure out how to wrap the cording on there. And then obviously the commands, almost any command these days has 550 cord.
Yeah.
So I just used the 550 cord that I got from the command and wrapped the paddles. Mm-hmm. I wasn't taking any money from it because obviously being in the military, I didn't want it to be a conflict of interest or anything. So I was just doing it in the evenings out of the kindness of my heart.
So it was just it started off as a hobby initially.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So
then we from Riverine Squadron 3, we transferred back to San Diego and to Special Boat Team 12 again. And there again, the people that had made the paddle that was given to me, they had transferred. And so they're asked, hey, does anyone know where to get these paddles? And it kind of had fallen to the wayside and nobody was making them anymore. So I started making the paddles again there at Special Boat Team 12. And again, we were just doing them as a hobby.
His office looked like a little paddle shop. He had all these paddles his dad would mail to him, and the guys would come in and pick out the color wrapping they wanted, and they'd give him their command coins. Can you put these on there for me? Here's some of my warfare pins. Can you put these on? Right. This is what I want it to say on the plaque. And he was like a little paddle shop in his office there.
So this was obviously while you were still in, and then, you know,
Mhm.
you left the service. So where did the idea of like, you know, creating this as a business for you guys, like where did that all start?
So in 2012, I transitioned from the military back here to Wisconsin. And fortunately and unfortunately, the economy was tanked. And so we were renovating a 1930s farmhouse. And instead of, I originally had a contractor doing it, and I was helping out where I could, and I was trying to find work and do odds and end jobs. And finally, I looked at my dad and said, "Hey, why don't we just do this?" And I fired the prime contractor, and from that point, that was my job for about a year.
Building our house.
Yeah.
Which he did a beautiful job.
Okay.
And so during that time, again,
People kept calling him.
Yeah,
Sir, do you still make paddles? Where can I get a paddle? Even though he was already out of the military, because people move around to different commands, and they now need a gift to give to someone that's transitioning or
transferring
or retiring. Maybe their CO is retiring, and they need to get a nice special gift. So then they think, oh, Lieutenant Nyseth made that paddle. Maybe he knows where I can get a paddle. So they kept contacting him, asking for paddles. So he'd do a few in the evenings after building the house all day.
Yep.
So
then we get a website going, and
we haven't had a day off since.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically it started off as a hobby, and then, you know, obviously word of mouth, like it just traveled, right? Like everybody knew you as the guy that made these Navy, these paddles.
Correct.
Yeah, and mainly it was a Navy at that point. Now we're in all branches, because the paddle is such a symbol of teamwork. It goes across all boundaries. Even police and fire departments get paddles from us, because it is, you row the boat together to get to shore. It's a teamwork effort. So even a lot of corporate gifts, we make paddles for their sales teams that make a huge they meet their quotas, or they make some great big deal together. You know, it's a great award for so many reasons, not just for the Navy.
So like you guys created this, you said 2012, like you were transitioning out of the military again, like the economy was kind of still like at a down point in our in the country, right? Like what made y'all to decide to, like, you know, go all in creating this business?
Shed hunting.
Yeah.
It was shed hunting that did it. You know what shed hunting is? Not everybody does.
Yeah.
So I enjoy going and picking up antlers off of mule deer, whitetail, and elk.
Okay.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
No cell phone reception.
So at this point, it's really my second vacation or opportunity since I'd been retired to go and do the shed hunting with my friends. And we had kids, and we had the house still going. And so I took the opportunity. I go out west. I said, Melinda, can you just answer my cell phone messages? Because people would call, and I would be in the backwoods, and I wouldn't get their message. And then I come back out, and a week later, here I got all these messages. I said, can you just take the messages? Well, I was gone for 2 weeks. I come back to Wisconsin, and she's got like 40 paddles lined up for me to get wrapped and get out.
Wow.
People kept calling.
And that's kind of the unique thing about our business is most of the time, the paddles are presented at a ceremony.
They're very time sensitive.
Yeah. And
so, be late.
But when it's done at a ceremony, it's in front of hundreds, maybe even thousands of people, depending if it's an aircraft carrier. So it gets presented, and all those young sailors, those Marines that are on the ship, they go, what was that?
That was cool.
Why did he get that? And then they come to understand the history behind the paddle and why they were given the paddle. And it's not just a square plaque. And there's so many memories that are put into that paddle for that person to receive that.
Everything is meaning. The color of the wrap, The
Yeah,
rap style sometimes is specific to their command, has their coins on it from their command, their warfare pins. Everything is very specific. It's a hanging shadow box. It means a lot.
Yeah, let's for our audience that might not know the history behind the paddles, can you guys talk a little bit more about that and like, how that came about?
sure. So you got MARSOC training, Marine Special Forces training, and BUDS.
Just Navy SEALs.
Yeah. So there's these main special operations schools that you're issued a paddle as part of your gear that you carry throughout all of the training. And if you go to Coronado and watch the BUDS training, you'll still see it today. But these paddles, they do surf passages, and they run with these Zodiacs and these paddles for months on end. And so they'll use these paddles, and some of them will break and get busted, and they'll get new ones. But the blood, sweat, and tears put into this training.
Well, they take the paddles with them. If they go to eat, they
Yeah.
have to tree all the paddles like a teepee formation. I mean, they carry them with them everywhere they go.
It's
It's
a
like
part
when
of
you're in
them.
high school and you take the baby class and you have to carry a bag of flour or
An egg.
something
Yeah.
around with you all the time to show you know how to take care of another thing. Well, that's how these paddles are. They have to take them with them everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like their little buddy.
So
Yeah.
in that, there's the teamwork thing, and that's at the end of the training. They get paddles as well given to them, which are different than how maybe a guy on a surface ship would get them, or a submarine, because all of them have different meaning and different ways that they're put together. So that's where it initially started, was in the BUDS training and MARSOC training.
Okay. So now you guys have been going on 8 years now. You said 2012 is when you guys started. You started at a time where, the economy wasn't doing that great. 2020, as we all know, has hit everybody pretty hard with, COVID and all that stuff. How did your time in the service help you prepare for, what you're doing now in your second service?
So anybody that's in the service is there's no give up. There's no option to give up. You have to continue and go. Beaches in Normandy, they stormed them, they took them. Okay, how many hills did they take in Vietnam? Just so they could say they took it and then walk off. You hear the stories. But so the tenacity and the grit and the drive and the deadlines and the people that we're doing them for. Navy Paddles isn't here because of us. It's because of all the men and women that have the great stories that we get to create that personal memento or memorabilia that they get to hang on their wall. And that's our honor to do that. But if we didn't have those men and women with all those great stories, there'd be no reason for us to be here.
Yeah. But it's true. I think being in the military makes you more ready than not for entrepreneurship or business ownership, because of all the things he just mentioned. You learn not to give up. You learn to find alternate routes to meet the goal. If one way didn't work, you think of another way to get there. All those things you have to do constantly in business ownership, because it's not a set path. It's like raising a kid. Nobody gives you a manual and says, this is how you do each stage.
Right.
Well, that's how business is. It's a living, growing thing. And there's no one right or wrong way to do it. So you have to stick to it. You have to be open to learning and trying new methods and going a different direction if you have to, even though you maybe don't want to do that. So that's how I think the military is very beneficial for business ownership afterwards for your second service.
Yeah, one of the things we always learn is, adapting and overcoming. And I'm sure you guys have,
Yes.
the 8 years you guys have been open, have done plenty of that,
Absolutely.
right? So what would you guys say was maybe the worst moment or experience you've had so far in the business?
It was a season.
Yeah,
It wasn't just one moment.
yeah, and I can't blame this on any one person, but this last year, in June, we transitioned to a new, what we thought was going to be a better website. And in that time, there was a whole month period of time where we didn't realize that nobody could even see us as
On the web.
on the web as a business.
There was problems with transitioning over, and the URL somehow got routed to an unknown destination, and then that was just one thing. Then our email system went down, so we couldn't contact customers, and they couldn't contact us. And then we got our
Russians hacked us.
Yeah, we turned on the computers, and Russian was the language on our computer. Like,
oh, wow.
What is happening to us right now? And then we check our FedEx account, and there's thousands of dollars. People are shipping things all over the country using overnight methods, using our account. So we've got this huge bill with FedEx. Then we check our credit cards, the business cards, they've been hacked, and we've got all this fraud. It was like,
and PayPal, our PayPal account got
oh
hacked.
my gosh. It was like, what is happening to us? Like the virgins of evil just converged on top of us, and it wouldn't let go. It was so crazy.
And Facebook shut us down.
Yeah, because they say we have weapons, but
Yeah,
that's a whole nother issue. So
yes,
a lot of things happen at one time. We're like, what is going on right now? It's like the perfect storm. Everything is happening. We didn't know what the causes were and how to fix it. So that was quite an ordeal.
yeah,
Digging out of that mess.
So it's just taken us time. There was a point this summer where we just threw up our hands and went to the boat.
Yeah, let's just go to the lake.
Right.
We did everything we could do.
Then we went and enjoyed summer.
Yeah, all our return customers, they were contacting us. Obviously not through our website, but we still had customers. But it all just took time. And for someone to think this was going to happen, you couldn't ever guess that we would be hacked in so many ways.
All within a matter of weeks. It's just one thing after another. But you have to choose, okay, this is what it is. We're not going to die. We're not going to close the doors. We've been here a long time. We're going to get through this. It's a beautiful day outside. Let's just go relieve some stress on the boat with the kids, with the employees. Let's go take a day and just breathe. And so that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you mentioned earlier that you said, it's not like one moment, like business, entrepreneurship, right? It's a roller coaster ride.
Yes,
there's always going to be,
is.
There's always going to be some obstacles that you need to overcome and get over. So, here you guys are still overcoming and those challenges and moving forward because, you guys believe in the mission that you guys are doing, and we appreciate that.
Absolutely. And there again, the mission is we do what we do for the people that we work for.
Right.
So
it's his way of staying connected to
the
military and the community that he loves so much. So we love what we do, and we love who we do it for. So
yeah,
that's awesome. So, throughout all that, what's been the most rewarding experience that you guys have had during this time?
Well, I think that's a daily occurrence almost for us, because every time we send a paddle out, we get to look at that history or that service, or sometimes, the paddle may be going someone to a deceased person or a family. And so
those are hard.
Those are hard, but they're still good times.
They're very meaningful, knowing that we were able to do some small part in memorializing that hero, that we were able to be part of that story to carry on what they did. And
I think we look every day. You don't want one time to be happy. You want every day to be happy. And so we strive every day to make Navy paddles fun and exciting and
crazy a little bit at times.
Yeah, sometimes crazy, but we're looking to create fun in our everyday, where there was sometimes
you have to.
Yeah, there were some times in the military your fun was just doing push-ups and you created fun out of crazy things there too.
Most definitely. So you guys mentioned before, and I know you wrote it down here in the form. Do you guys have a boat that you guys go out on
Yes.
trips with, or? Okay.
Yes, we have a lake here local,
Yeah,
and
very big lake.
yeah, and
You can surf and tube and do all kinds of stuff off the back of the boats. And there's a couple different islands where everybody pulls their boat out. It's only like 3 feet deep around the island. So everyone parks their boats and walks in 3 feet deep water and plays games and has fun and chit chats with people. So it's just real fun.
And that's part of like the rewarding experience that you guys get to provide, right? Like for your, family.
well,
and
absolutely. As an
employees.
entrepreneur, that's probably another great benefit. We don't have a 9-to-5 job. As long as we're meeting those deadlines, that's the great opportunity that we see for Navy paddles is if it's Tuesday and it's a 90-degree day,
We're going to the boat.
yeah, we can work the morning and go to the boat at 1 o'clock and spend the afternoon there with the kids.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So for those of you guys just listening in, talking to Kyle and Melinda, Nyseth, I'm sorry, Nyseth, that's of Navy Paddles. So guys, can you tell us, or can you give our audience an actionable step that they can take right now in pursuit of their second service?
I would say, first and foremost, when you do your transition, make sure you get your medical screening done while you're in the service.
That's a big one.
So get your medical screening done before you get out.
And why is that?
Because you're still active and you're given a lot more
Precedence.
yes.
Right.
So you get access. Once you're out, you're out. You're blacklisted in many cases.
You wait in line to see the doctor. Yeah.
So
no,
get
it's true.
get those medical screenings done while you're in the service. And then second, and you can do this, make sure that you're connected to some of the foundations from VFW to, there's a lot of nonprofit organizations right now, Elite Meat, Bunker Labs, all of these military organizations, make sure you get connected to them. So if you have questions, you're able to get them answered.
They have huge resources specifically tailored to people transitioning. There's so many resources out there now that we didn't know about when we transitioned.
And they weren't there.
Yeah, and now it's like there's a huge community of assistance for military personnel that want to transition. There's all kinds of training courses you can take if you want to go into a specific
certifications.
Yeah, it's just amazing the support that's out there, but you have to look for it.
Right.
And he's mentioned a few of them that are really good.
Yeah. And then when you're thinking about, okay, I'm stationed in Norfolk or I'm stationed in San Diego, where am I going to transition to? Am I going to stay in Norfolk, or am I going to go back to where my family's from because I want to be near family? Well, maybe going near family doesn't produce a job because they don't understand your capabilities. And I wasn't very good at explaining how my capabilities translated into the community here. And so going to a community where your strengths turn into dollars can be a game changer. If you think you're going to stay in San Diego and make a lot of money, unless you got something really hooked up, you're probably not going to do that. For us to transition from San Diego to Wisconsin, or if we would have went to Texas or Florida, or there's many
North
states,
Carolina,
you get a lot of benefits. I don't pay
because of the state.
exactly.
Right.
You need to look at, there's several states that provide huge benefits to military that other states don't.
Yeah.
And that should be considered on your location where you want to go. And it's not forever. Most people transitioning out of the military, like you said, it's a second service. People have second, third, and fourth services still in them because they're so young. So it's not like if I don't move back home where my mom and dad are, I'll never be there. That's not true. But it could be that for a season of 3 to 5 years, you're somewhere different, and that's going to propel you and make
get you connected into the
Yeah.
civilian world.
And
Right.
then you can transition back to where your family is later. Life is such a long journey, and there's a lot of locations you can visit on that journey. So just don't pigeonhole yourself, oh, I've got to go back where I have family. Well, that may not be the best move right now. Maybe that's, the second move after your military. So,
And that's reaching out to many of the spouses, because the spouses many times, hey, I came along on your ride with this military thing. Now I want to go back and be by family. Well, yes, we want to do that, but really think, is it going to benefit you in the end?
Yeah, I mean, those are all great points. And I think you guys brought it up earlier. There's like so many opportunities, especially if you want to be a veteran entrepreneur, right? There's so many organizations and foundations that are out there to assist you in if you want to go that route, or in anything in general. There's just so many other companies and organizations that weren't out 10, 20 years ago
mhm.
that are
No.
just, a
they're
benefit to
there
the
waiting to
community.
help you.
Right.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So, and I find, I try to tell my sailors, because at times, they're young and they don't really think about what's next. Right. So it's,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's unfortunate because, they realize it, and it's sometimes it's too late, or, they wish they could have done this or that beforehand.
Yeah.
So
It's never too late. The opportunities are always out there. So it's never too late to start. But if you don't want to start, you're never going to get to the end.
yeah.
So if you're out of the military and you want to reach out to a lot of these different like Bunker Labs or Elite Meet or Military Influencer Conference or any of these organizations, Rosie Network,
Mhm.
they're all great resources, even for Vietnam veterans that may want to do something after their retirement. Even giving back,
Mhm.
being a mentor during some of these times.
Most definitely. So, what's one thing you guys want our listeners to take away from this episode?
I would say life is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
We've heard that before, and it's so true. You can plan all you want and think you want this one certain thing, and life doesn't give it to you. And being flexible and being open to what your new journey could look like really helps you to get through life in a positive way, because life is very difficult at times. It's always unknown, even when we try to plan. And be flexible, which the military usually teaches you to do, is be flexible. And that is a skill we all need in life, in civilian life, in military life, wherever it is. You have to be flexible. To enjoy the ride and to stay positive is what's going to get you through in a meaningful way.
And especially in this last year, 2020, we have to stay strong as Americans. Know that we're still Americans, and know that we're not a third world country.
We can get through.
We can get through this together. Let's not get taken by storm and have our rights taken away from us. Know that we're still Americans. It doesn't matter who you are, you're here as Americans. Doesn't matter what color your skin is.
It's a great message.
We have so many great opportunities here. We really do.
And all we need to do is just take the chance, create those opportunities.
It is a chance. Life is about chances. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not comfortable and it's not a known thing, but
Right.
it is exciting. If
Most
you do your best to make good choices, it turns out pretty good in the end.
Most definitely. Appreciate that message. So guys, going into our second segment of the podcast here. So this is what I call the Fast Five, where I ask the same 5 questions that I ask my guests. So you guys ready?
Oh boy.
So first question, what's one hobby you enjoy?
Shed hunting.
What
like
about you,
music.
Melinda? Is it the same thing?
Boating. I
Boating?
like boating.
Okay.
Mhm. No, I don't shed hunt.
So second question, if you had to choose one person dead or living to hang out with for one day, who would it be and why?
George Washington. And because he was such a great general, and there was things about him that cannot be understood. And it would be nice to go back and understand how he was able to do so many great things.
Mm.
Very good.
George the original George Washington.
Yeah. That's right.
Next question, recommend a book for our audience to read.
Who Moved My Cheese?
Absolutely. That is the best book.
It's an oldie but goodie. It's so short, which means it's not a long read,
Yeah.
but man, it makes you think and question how you think and why you keep yourself in a box
Who
and how
moved-
that box holds you back when you think it's protecting you. It's a very good book. Very simple, but profound. Who Moved My
Who
Cheese?
moved my cheese? Okay. Next question, what's your favorite quote and why?
With God, all things are possible.
Nothing's impossible with God.
There you go.
Mhm.
And that's one thing, again, with Navy paddles. Melinda had to remind me a little bit of that quote, but we do live by that. We wouldn't be here. Why should we be here if it weren't for the people and God giving us the opportunity?
Love it, man. So next question, where do you guys see yourself in a year, 5 years, or even 10 years from now?
I see myself on a boat in Florida. Back to my hobby, boating, where it's warm.
Is
The
that
Midwest is freezing cold.
is that
this
the
time
ultimate
of year.
destination, Florida?
Somewhere in the South.
Okay.
Somewhere warm.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm flexible. It doesn't have to be Florida, but it should be south of Alaska. Right now we're in South Alaska. It's freezing cold and I want to be warm.
That's where we want to go to, is Florida. So
Somewhere warm.
what about you, Kyle? Where do you
So I think the biggest thing is probably, it's hard to answer that question.
Where you want to be, Kyle. Where do you want to be?
Yeah.
There's a lot of unknowns and uncertainties in our world right now. So planning ahead, you can make a plan, but you have to be flexible if that plan changes or restrictions change or laws change.
Yeah, we had
So-
we had for once, we had our summer all planned out
Lots of fun trips.
for the kids.
Yeah.
You know, the kids were in
Different programs and sporting activities.
we were on it this year, and then wow, it all got changed.
Yeah,
It
with
all got
Right.
changed.
I finally had it my whole summer planned out with children and work and vacations, and then all that had to come to a screeching halt. So you just never know.
Yeah.
where would you guys like to see Navy paddles in the future, or still be doing?
Well, I think it is a legacy type business. I see it staying around.
We would like it to stay around, even if we're not the ones at the helm of it.
Because it has such a perfect mission, and that's just honoring those that have served.
Mhm.
And so it's a business that can be taken anywhere. It's a business that can very easily grow. It's just going to take the time and sweat and tears to figure out how to get it bigger.
Mhm.
And I think we're this next year, if everything falls into place, I think we're in a really good place to really have a great year.
Well, that's awesome. And, I appreciate you guys for what you all are doing and honoring our service members, our law enforcement and first responders, serving those communities. One last thing, where can our audience, where can they follow you and support you guys?
On all social media pages. So we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and our website, of course, navypaddles.com. But our tag name is always at Navy Paddles on any of those platforms. You can
Or
find-
hashtag Navy Paddles.
Oh yeah, you can search for us there too. We always try to put our own hashtag on our stuff. So yeah, We're easily found, Navy paddles.
Awesome, guys. Kyle, Melinda, again, I appreciate y'all for taking the time in this busy time of the year for everybody. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your story with us here at Fortis Fidelis. Thank you all, and hopefully get to talk to you guys soon.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, take care.
Take care.